All right, how's it going, everybody? I want to do some catching up because I hadn't been making videos consistently. Um, reason being, um, reason being because when I work at a job that's they're pretty desperate. Is because they have such a high turnover, and so the sad part is, for the most part, it's one of those jobs that just don't pay enough for I'll put it like this. Most of the people that work at this job, and I'm not saying my job, um, but most of the time people that work at this job, it doesn't pay enough for the person that if you're trying to live and survive off the pay. Now, for a person like myself, this job is supplemental income. So, because I'm retired and I receive disability, plus I'm also receiving pay for playing at a church. So this job is actually supplemental. The only downside is it does put you in a higher tax bracket. But anyhow, with all that being said, let me get on to the heart of this video. I want to start off with a rant. It's not really such a rant, but it's kind of like a small rant. Well, it's not. I guess it's not a rant. It's just an observation rant. It's not even a beef rant. But you probably seen by now. There are still people that are making how to build a recording studio video in 2024. Now, and I'm not going to insult anyone's intelligence or lack of knowledge in this area, but I'm pretty sure by now 90% of the people, if not more, 99% know exactly what it takes to build a recording studio. And what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the recording studios are no longer the brick and mortar commercial building, restricted located studios, the traditional, the control room, live room, isolation booths type of recording studios are pretty much, home recording studios is pretty much the standard now. That's really what it is. A home recording studio, they're probably a commercial building type of studio like that is probably less than 10% of all the recording studios out there now. It's the same thing with the way music is made and distributed and everything else compared to the old school where you bought CDs, vinyls, cassettes. Now the mainstream is just streaming and digital download, and that's the mainstream now. So the rant for me is, I think people need to stop, because in the end, a lot of times some of that stuff is biased when it comes to telling people what they think, how to build a recording studio. When I say really, when it comes to building a home recording studio, is not a one size fits all thing. There's only a few things that anyone, when it comes to building a recording studio, need to understand. One, space. Do I have the space to accommodate the type of recording I want to do? Two would be maybe, for the most part, acoustical treatment. So as acoustics are going to be right. 3, you're definitely going to want to start buying equipment. Microphone stands, microphones, cables. What kind of studio monitors do I want to invest in? Things like that. Other than that, 90% of people are recording into their laptop or desktop. It doesn't matter if it's a PC or Mac. And on that, the interface you're going to use, whether it's I think in the interfaces, pick one and make sure you have enough inputs and outputs. That's just how good interfaces are. I don't care what brand it is. And other than that, just choosing whatever what other digital audio workstation software you want to use, and whatever plugin companies you want to go with. That's the gist of it. You'll never hear me sit there and try to endorse one particular brand, because I've said this before. 90% of everything that you want to buy for your studio will work, and it will work well when you know exactly how to use it, learn how to use it, and become good at it. I don't care what brand, microphone, interface, software, DAW. So that's pretty much the gist of the video. I think people don't need to keep making how to build a home recording studio in 2024. I guarantee more than 90+% of people that even watch my channel knows the basics of what I need for my recording studio. And like I said, to sum it up on that part, you just got to find you a good, comfortable space. Especially if you're your house, whether it's the bedroom, you can do it in your living room, dining room. I wouldn't recommend in your kitchen or bathroom. Attic, basement, garage, and a bedroom. That's where most people are doing their recording studios anyway. They're doing it either they convert the garage or the attic or the basement, or one of the bedrooms. When it comes to a home recording studio, that's where most people are doing their recording. So it's a space. Other than that, you just need some cables, an interface, some software, computer, microphone, some monitors, headphones, some other accessory stuff that you might want to use. Maybe like my MPC right here, or MIDI controller. You're off and running, so now I was watching a video from Creative Sauce talking about his future. He didn't really go into a whole lot of I probably should have finished watching. I watched 90% of the video, and I was waiting for him to sit there and say, he was basically saying his future with Cakewalk, which led me to make this video. On what I think the pros and cons of software versus whatever the case. I would honestly say yes, it is a pro advantage to DAWs, no matter what brand you go with, simply because the editing capabilities of what you can do, how you're going to edit and work in the DAW, is undisputable compared to any other way of recording. There are people out there that are trying to do DAW-less recording studios, but let me tell you, the editing capability with the ability of plugins and everything else is just unmatched. To even if a person that want to use old school way of a large format console, a ton of outboard gear, and a 24-track tape machine. And they even got good with a razor blade to cut the tape machine up and move the tape around and edit it. let me tell you that you're not going to be able to beat all of what a DAW can do, not even in synthesizers as workstations. And I got quite a bit of them as far as synthesizer workstations. To give everyone an update on the boards that I've acquired, I'll kind of give you and I'll do an update tour so you can actually physically see them, because I made a video about which keyboard I want to upgrade, which keyboard I want to get, and I actually got quite a few. But if I needed to, in this room right now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. There's another keyboard in another room, but there's also 10 boards downstairs. So I got a lot of them. But the update was I chose the Roland Phantom S. But I also have a Korg Kronos. I know it's not the Kronos 2, but it is the Kronos X. I even have the Roland. I got the whole Roland series, the Roland G, the Roland S. I don't have all the Rolands, but I do have quite a bit of Rolands. I even have the XR rack, and even a Roland XP80 over there. But even what you can do with my Roland Phantom, you can do a ton of stuff in that Roland Phantom, including using the audio, and it can be used as an interface and a MIDI controller. That Roland Phantom can do some stuff, right? So with that being said, all the stuff that I can do in the my Roland Phantom, which is the flagship board for Roland right now, is still not matched to what you can do in like Pro Tools or Logic or Cakewalk or Reaper or Studio One or Ableton Live, FL Studio, Reason. I'm naming all the dolls, if you probably noticed that. Mixcraft, and so forth. It's just everything that you can do. Even Harrison Mix Bus. I got Harrison Mix Bus version 9. All these DAWs and plugins and on top of that, with the use of VST virtual synthesizer softwares, as well as plugins, compressors, EQs, reverbs, delays. I mean, all these unique reverbs, or all these unique plugins. There's plugins that make your voice, do all kinds of stuff. Vocoders, all kinds of stuff. Samplers. It's unmatched to what you can do in just a synthesizer. And I'm not saying you can't do full-fledged productions in synthesizers. You can. A lot of the new ones you definitely can. Older ones you couldn't. It wasn't there. So the only con that I see with DAWs and stuff, and computer being computer only, is you're only as good with that stuff as the software is able to be allowed to do that. And what I mean by that is this. Right now there's talks of Cakewalk going back to being paid, or sometimes some software just go away, it's not supported no more. It's like how Pro Tools got themselves in trouble. They just got too greedy. The whole iLok thing. With the iLok, which was just that's a disaster of a self. With the iLok. And don't get me started on wanting to express my opinions on how I think iLok was the worst idea. It's kind of like it's iLok. I'll speak on it real briefly. The concept of iLok was actually to reduce and restrict pirating and sharing and keep you from being. It was almost like a security thing to protect you. But sometimes when people think about protections and keeping your stuff safe, they don't really think about things like, well, it might keep me it's kind of like if you have a license or an iLok or something like your PC or your Mac, and that crashes and you can't turn the computer on or whatever, and the license is stuck on the hard drive or whatever, and you can't unlock it or transfer the file or whatever the case may be. Now now you got some problems. I'm not saying there aren't workarounds to fixing that, but it can become time consuming. And another problem is there are some programs that will only allow you to upload your software or your plugins or whatever to one computer, two, maybe 3 Macs or whatever. That's it. And if you want to use that same software on another computer, you got to put on the iLok and go to whatever and unlock it so it can be used and whatever. And that can be a problem for quite a few people. But so I was saying this, I'm like this. I don't think that DAWs are going to go away at all. But I'm starting to forecast that each DAW is going to constantly run into issues. What I mean by that, simply because software itself is only as good as the operating system that is working on. Like if you're like Mac constantly upgrades their operating system practically every year. And and I know with Macs, it allows you to upgrade your existing Mac operating system from one to another, but it can only do that up to a certain point until the computer is no longer able to accept an upgrade because of the motherboard, the RAM, yada yada yada. It's the same thing with PCs. Like I got a computer here that has Windows XP. Now my PC that I got my Mac here, and the highest operating system is High Sierra. It still works, but it's a cheese grater tower. But I'm gonna have to upgrade my Mac to like the Mac M1 with, at least Monterey or higher, Big Sur, one of those operating systems. So I have no choice if I want to get more of the later Mac software. I'm have to. Same thing. Like I don't even try to upgrade my XP, Windows XP. That's for all my old plugins and old DAWs. Now, some people say, well, why do you even have an older PC like that with XP and older DAWs? And I'm going to prove a point. I have to make a video on this. I got some more digital cameras that I'm going to start using to better my videos. So I want to prove a point that a lot of times the newest, latest, greatest, biggest, better isn't always, or the newest, latest, greatest isn't always better. I'm going to prove a point with that. And the point that I'm going to prove with that, even though I have an older DAW with older plugins, and I'm going to even use my older interface. I got an old M-Audio Omni Studio. I want to prove a point that majority of what makes music sound good is, one, the musician, the talent, and the knowledge and experience over anything else. Talent, not basically the musicianship slash the artist, vocalist, the musicianship, the talent, the knowledge, and the experience will always will always trump, always trying to have the latest, greatest. And I got songs that I've done on this DAW that will still sound and rival a lot of the new stuff. And I'm not saying that rivaling doesn't mean that the new stuff is better. It's just that it deals with knowing that there's talent, knowledge, experience, and art, musicianship. So with that being said, so some people say, well, with the Windows XP and that old computer and all that, because even my PC right here, it won't accept Windows 11. And having Windows 11 could be a good thing because it's the newest and latest for Windows. But at the same time, there are certain plugins and programs that won't work with Windows 11 unless you get the newest updates. Now, the last part of this video on that is because there's so many options, you'll find yourself constantly upgrading. And sometimes even upgrading can be expensive. You'll find out you're always spending money, even if you have the smallest setup. You're spending money on the newest plugins, the newest, or upgrading your audio interface, upgrading your mic. You're going to constantly upgrade. And that, sometimes you realize I don't want to, when you're constantly spending money that way, but you're not making money coming in to cover every time you're upgrading a plugin or software, it can become overwhelming and daunting because you're like, I'm not seeing any investment I'm not seeing any benefits or rewards on my investment. I'm not seeing any returns, all the music or whatever. And that's if you're in it for the career portion of it. Some people are in it for the hobby, but you'll find yourself, it's kind of like even, I'll use my MPC studio here, my MPC Renaissance. Great beat making drum machines, awesome. The problem is that they're way out of date in the MPC, Akai MPC world, because they have the newer MPC studio, the new, there's way newer, but this MPC Renaissance and Akai and all is way more effective to being able to create beats and music and sampling and everything. It can still do everything you need to do that will put music out even today in 2024. Lastly, on this video that I'm talking about is that the cons is that you're going to constantly trying to keep up with the Joneses with this. And that can actually be a costly con, because there's always an upgrade. And the companies that make all this software and gear for you to do in your home studio, they're not thinking about if you're trying to make a profitable career out of this, because their job is to sell the gear or software to you. That's how they're making their profits. Now, what you do with it is on you. But most people will never, ever gain, no one will ever gain the kind of money that you can make. Well, that's a whole different video. I need to do a video on that. Just like I need to do a video I want to do a video on with all this gear that I got, this console, all these these preamps and EQs and preamps and compressors, and on that box right there, you see that's a box of patch cables, and I got just more. I need to do an update. What does all this sound like? Does it sound? What does it sound like? Some people are been watching my channel, been itching for me to. What's this? All this gear? What does it sound like? So I need to do a video. I was doing, before I was going to do a video, and I started, and I never got a chance to finish it, and things happen. I need to do a video letting you hear step-by-step process. What does all this sound like? What does that envelope interface sound like? The interface envelope I got down here in the rack. What does it sound like running through the Allen and Heath? The recording, the gear. What does it sound like? And I need to do a video so you can hear it. But I will say this. With the way I got this studio in here set up, I can pretty much tell you. I'll say this. You can believe me or you don't have to believe me until you actually hear it. Just like I made my Behringer video about the Behringer gear. Recording in here, when it's done, it pretty much sounds the same way any song would have been done in any commercial studio around the world. That's the best way I can describe it. That is the reason why I have what I have, and it does sound. It's like if you listen to it, it sounds like it was recorded in any commercial studio. Whether it's LA, New York, it could be in Europe, Detroit, Florida, New York, Nashville, because I'm doing the exact same process as any commercial studio. The only disadvantage would be my house space, but you'll never hear that in the recording. Which remind me, my last thing, I just picked up a few more. I'm excited about it because this is the case for it. It's an Altron case. I got to pick up a few more of these. Altron is just beautiful because they make really good stuff. It's just so affordable. This case has you have the mic stand, the power supply, the cable. It even have a pop filter. But what I love about in here, out of all this, and I'll set the case down. That's why I need to do another tour. This is a Altron T190. It basically has the exact same components, or not exact same components. It has the same type of components as a Telefunken 251 microphone. So I'm gonna pull this microphone out. That is basically a Telefunken 251, but it's not. It's an Altron, but you get the idea. I can't wait to try vocals on that, and of course other things, guitar, and I'm gonna run that through my Altron, which are Neve style 73 preamp EQ preamps right here. So, and I'm gonna run that through my Lindale 76 compressors that I have in the rack. So I create a nice little vocal chain. So it should give you a really nice high-end sounding recording. I am very stoked about that. So you'll get the chance to hear what does it sound like recording with all this gear, and how's it sound. So I have to plan and set this up and do a video for you to hear all that. And you'll say, wow. Most people will. Because it's going to sound like it was recorded in a commercial studio. Because I know this, it's the same process. So other than that, that's going to do it for this video. But just want to end the video, and I just want to say for people out there, stop making how to build a recording studio in 2024. 90% of the people already know that now. What people want to know is not so much what to build in their recording studio. A lot of people want to know how to use the gear if they don't know how to use the gear, or what's the best compressor settings or EQ settings, or what's the best way to record vocals, or how do I mix, or what. That's what people want to know. They know they need a microphone and interface and a space to record, and they know all this, and pick a DAW and get some plugin. 99% people already know this, because it's been out for the last 10 years on videos on how to build a recording studio, including people watch recording studio tours. They know this, but you still got some people out there with if people's intelligent. A microphone, it changes vocal waves into electrical current. People know, they start making videos like that, and it's like insulting in people's intelligence as if people don't know what a microphone is. Like, as a microphone's a brand new thing. Most people don't care that the microphone converts it from the vocals that I'm talking with this microphone, and convert it to electrical currents that travels down a cable into an interface or through a preamp or whatever. Most people don't care about that. The people, what they do care about is, when should I use a condenser mic? When should I use a ribbon mic? Or when should I use a dynamic mic? And how, what's the best settings? How would I get the best results between the three? That's what people want to know. They know what a microphone is. I hate when people make videos. It's almost like, now, yeah, I can understand when people want to know, if you have a console, how to route, because a console can be a little bit confusing if you never worked on one. And some people don't even know how it routes through their DAW. How the signal routes in and out of the DAW. They just know that they got the stuff in the software. They can hear it, and they see the interface. They got the interface. They can see signals on the interface, and they see signal DAW, but they really don't know the signals routing through the DAW. There are a lot of people that don't know that. They just know I put in some samples or some sounds or whatever. I put in some plugins and play with some EQs, and I can see the recording tracks, and I'm playing with them, and I can hear it. It's plugged to my speakers or whatever. And that's about the gist of it. So I have a few videos I need to make about. I've done this before on Signal Flow. I need to, there's still people asking questions on that, which, it is what it is. But that's going to do it, because the video's 30-something minutes. So that's it. Yeah, that's it. So, plus you're going to see changes, because I got to make an introduction video. I'm going to start, you'll see, my videos will still be the same, but somewhat different, if that makes sense. Because I got to make some changes. I need to make the channel grow, and or I need to get more information out there. That's pretty much it. So there's some changes going to be coming even for my channel. Other than that, thanks for watching. Y'all have a good one.